Now, the structure of the webinar is like this. There is a session time and date right here, and it keeps going. I started about a year ago, so it goes up. The very last or the current is here. If we have any new idea for the next one as we go, I'll copy paste and I'll prepare for the next one, but that's what I want to cover. Now, let me go over that from the bird's eye view real quick, and then we'll go into the details. So first of all, there is an interesting diagram called Startup by the Country, and I actually got it from an interesting email that I will show you. Then I will share with you the new ideas of AI applications, and that will be theory. I would say it's theory. But for the practice, for the lab, there will be the next lab, pizza order bot. And we will run it. We will actually run it. My plan to run it in Google Colab, and you will be able to follow with me. All right. With that, I can start. And I should also mention that there will be yet one more webinar. And that one more webinar will come right after this one. So the next hour will be secure programming. Security is just a very interesting subject. And I personally got introduced to it by a certain podcast called Risky Biz. And I've been listening to this podcast for over 10 years, I think. It's a great place. They're very fun to listen to, and they are very prominent. So when Google wants to talk to Microsoft, they don't talk directly. They send something to the Risky Biz. That's the level of that team there is, and they usually say, "Hey guys, we know you're listening, and that's what we're telling you." And they talk to every corporation in the world. All right. With that, going back to AI, what we want um, to talk is about, first of all, let's look at this. And I have your chat. So if you talk, I hear, and if you write, I see. Good. Startup by the country. I got it from the source. I'll show you where I got the whole thing from. But the source for it is right here. And somebody collected very nicely the startups. So I thought, at least let's look at that. Let's see who is in the race. And well, this is who, I mean, these are the numbers. What you can't argue against that. That US has 4,500 startups, and that's the number of investment. And China is second, and it is 4 times less. But I'm not sure how official the China numbers are. Then there's UK, and then there is a tiny Israel. But of course, I'll say this because I'm Jewish. And then Canada, and then France, India, Japan, Germany, and Singapore. I thought that's a very interesting diagram. I'll close that because this is the, let's see on chat, go back to chat. This is the link that I just gave you, but just in case, I'll give it to you again because I think that if you log in later, you don't get the previous links. So here you are, that's it. And the letter that I get it from, let me show you. Right here. So I think that is the letter. So a guy just writes, and he is quite popular, covers all the latest, including the hype. So I read it every day just because it's there, even though some things are really not interesting. But what can you do? So that's him. I just showed it to you. And you can find it like this. It's a newsletter. I think it's at least might be useful to some. So here you are. And see, I'm jumping between the two profiles. And that's why, but has to do. So first of all, that is the picture, and that's where I got it from. Now, the next news is more substantial. And for that, to show you this news, I need to stop sharing and then restart sharing, share screen, and this time with the sound. So now that you will see, it will be with the sound, and I will unfold it in front of you gradually. I'll say that first of all, there is such a thing as Khan Academy. So let's go there to start with. The K. Now, that profile knows nothing about really what I'm doing. Let's go back to the other profile. And here should be Khan Academy. There you are, the labs. So that is done by the Sol Khan, and he is a close partner with ChatGPT. I think they're also, ChatGPT is also an investor in them. And he starts with the first problem is that many teachers are unhappy about students using ChatGPT to do their homework. So therefore, he says, we have a solution. And the solution is three entities. It's the student, it is the teacher, and it is the ChatGPT tutor prepared for you by Khan Labs. That is the essence. There is a wonderful TED speech over there, but what I prepared for you today is a certain 6-minute YouTube. So we will go there, pick up that. Is it really YouTube? Oh, it will be part of the slides. So I really would like to show you the YouTube first, but here are the few slides that I'll say explain my idea. So it is based on his presentation, but it is applied to a technical presentation. So keep that in mind while you're looking at this show. I'm giving you this and opening YouTube right here. Now we're going to listen to it because it is essential to what I'm going to say.
Hi everyone, Sal Khan here from Khan Academy, and I'm very excited to let y'all know about the work that Khan Academy is now doing in artificial intelligence. Obviously, over the last many months, there's been a lot of talk about artificial intelligence that has been both exciting and scary. We all see the potential that it can have to help people, to maybe even one day tutor people, but we also know that there are some drawbacks. It can hallucinate, sometimes make up facts. It doesn't always get the math correct. Maybe it can introduce bias, or maybe students might try to do things with it that aren't fully appropriate, or try to get it to do their assignments for them. And so we at Khan Academy, we view it as our responsibility as a not-for-profit with a mission of free world-class education for anyone, anywhere, that also prides itself on being at the cutting edge of technology and how technology can be used to accelerate learning. We view it as our responsibility to start deeply working with artificial intelligence, but threading the needle so that we can maximize the benefits and mitigate the risks. Today, Khan Academy is launching Khanmigo, and we're putting it behind Khan Labs, which is a new program we're doing as part of Khan Academy, where we can take new technology that we think has a lot of promise, and we can give access initially to a smaller subset of educators, of parents, of students, and donors so that they can begin to test it, and as we refine it, we can bring it out to more and more people. Khanmigo is the artificial intelligent assistant that is integrated into everything that Khan Academy does, that a student can do, that a parent can do, that a teacher can do. For example, if you're doing an exercise on Khan Academy, you want a hint, you essentially want a tutor. We think artificial intelligence needs to be a tool for real learning and not for cheating. And that means that it's great to have Khanmigo be a tutor. We think this tutoring use case is especially powerful as we come out of the pandemic. All of us as educators want to address unfinished learning, but we know that tutoring can only work if it's connected to what students are already doing in the classroom, and ideally, actually being able to do it in the classroom. And this is exactly what we're doing as part of Khanmigo. And what's really exciting about these next generation models that we're working with is that they can do math. They don't always do it perfectly, but it is improving dramatically and quickly week by week. So we thought this is the time to try it out. Artificial intelligence and large language models introduce the possibility of doing completely new activities that weren't possible before. For example, teachers spend a lot of time writing lesson plans. What if they had an artificial intelligent teaching assistant that can help them write their lesson plan? On the student side, instead of just doing things for the student, what if it could act as a coach to do things with the student? Write something alongside the student, making sure that the student is doing the bulk of the work, but pulling it out of them, making it more fun, making it more engaging. Imagine a world, which we actually are putting as part of our lab's activities, where students can debate any topic they like within reason, reasonable topics, where the AI can take the other side and they can really fine-tune their arguments. They can have conversations with historical figures or figures from literature. They can get help on problems that they might have to do in class or in homework, but once again, not in a way that it just gives them the answer, but in a way that a good tutor would do it, that it helps nudge the students for them to figure it out themselves. And the other thing we're doing is we're adding even more safeguards. Safeguards within the activities themselves, but also ways for parents and teachers to monitor student activity. They can see log of all of what the students have been up to, and also to get notifications if there are any conversations that seem to be on the edge or inappropriate. So to be clear, this is just the beginning, and we aren't launching these features to every Khan Academy user right now. Instead, we are prioritizing teachers and schools and districts that are already part of our Khan Academy district offering. We're also going to allow those of you who can help support these efforts as a donor, the efforts to build out, do all the R&D. That will also be a way to get priority on the waiting list, to be an early tester of Khanmigo. I think together, all of us, teachers, parents, policymakers, district leaders, if we work together hand in hand, we can find ways to maximizing the benefits of this powerful technology while mitigating the risks. And if we do that, we can literally empower the lives of billions, and it will be a very exciting next couple of years. Thank you.
Okay, guys, so you know where to get that stuff? Let me try to ask you this question. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to allow you to talk. And I'm also looking at the chat. All right. Now, what I want to know is just based on that, I'm going to expand. I told you I want to build on top of these ideas, and I'll show exactly how I do it. But here we are on chat, and on the scale of 1 to 5, 1, of course, is the low value, and 5 is the best. What do you think of Khan idea? Wow, 4.7. I have a friend who immediately says, and how do I get those remaining 0.3? But I think it's a joke. We're very excited. And the guy, by the way, says, amazing, right? I don't measure to his heels, but I'm going to do something about this. What I'm going to do is what I have done, let's put it this way, is applied, got access, and started playing with it. Because my step number 1 is see exactly how they built it and see how much special AI do they use as opposed to just an AI application. I'll tell you right away, a giveaway, no special AI that they use, but I'll show you how you build such things, and I will show you how they structure their lessons and how you in turn should be able to think of doing the same thing, should do that. That's a demo. So for that, I need to go and access learning with Khanmigo. Now, I'm always confused there when I'm as far as a learning task for me to transfer the current effort and project. Yes, we all have different goals, right? So let's go deeper. Let's not just look at the idea, but exactly how it's done. Okay, get Khanmigo. I hope I'll get there because I am there. Log in. I'm logged in with my account. Here you are. I think it's logging me in. Well, please do. If not, I'll try to get in some other way, but I absolutely need to be in to show you that. And I told you, it's always a problem, the way you get there. In this case, it's not working to log in. So let me try to click on this login. It's not a network process, finally. Almost done. And they, you know, they say that if you're a good guy and if you give us money, which I agree to, it seems like I'll give it. In fact, I give it every time I get in because there is no way to log in. So what I do is this: give $9 monthly. Okay. I'm amazed that I have to register again, but I know that I can cancel it real easy time. So I'm logging in and becoming a user, accepting the terms and conditions. And I apologize for that story, but on the other hand, that's not my invention of that story. So that should be 1 second. Look at this. Well, now I think you appreciate what I'm doing. Somehow that's not perfect. There are other systems that I know that are just the same. They're not perfect. Okay, now it's need the code. Oh, now you see the complete card. That's not nice. But what can you do? Okay, I cannot believe now I log in again. No, it couldn't be. Well, and that was the donation page, okay? But what if I go back to the academy and in a moment I'll give up and just explain what it does? But maybe I'm in and get started to learn. Now I want to learn with the Kamigo. Come explore with us. And here I am. I cannot believe it. So, well, it's not my problem, it's their problem. And I'll have to go and explain this using my slides. And that will be a good enough page for the slide. So it gives me a choice of 4, well, it gives me a choice of close to 100 courses. But in the math that I want to learn, I choose 4 or 5, and I chose the linear algebra one. And I said, please teach me linear algebra, and it started. What it says is, okay, I'll give you 10 problems. That reminds me of my friend, the mathematician. He changed in the years that I haven't seen him. I just couldn't believe that it's the same person. So I asked, are you that? Are you Alex? And he said, I can give you a problem. And I said, no, don't give me a problem because I will fail. But that convinced me. So here too, 10 problems it gave me, and number 1 I solved incorrectly. Do the determinant of this matrix. For 3, for 5, the rule is you take 2 times 5, that's 10, minus 4 times 3, that's 12, and should be minus 2. So the first time I didn't get it right. The next time it gave me a hint. It said, let me remind you that that is the formula that you should use. Okay, it reminded, and I said it's right, and now it's in D2. Then I said, okay, that was problem number 1. Let's go to the second problem. What was the second problem? At this time, I didn't want to really learn it. And I said, hey, forget it. Just tell me the solutions. I'll look through the solutions and I'll know your stuff. It said, no, I cannot do it. I am your tutor. instead, I will help you solve every problem. And there was no way to convince it, well, unless we're talking about hacking, and that, by the way, is my next webinar, hacking. Unless we're trying to use the same techniques as explained in the, okay, thank you very much, Lawrence, -2, you get it. So what you can do is become a student, and if you pay money, you are already qualified. But in any case, now I saw exactly how it works. There is no special AI there. It's obviously ChatGPT in the back. I will show you exactly how you program such a things. Plus, of course, they use something like some frameworks, some of the nice frameworks for the web. That's what they use. And from here, it's your work. You decide what you want to teach. You decide on the problems. You decide on the environment. The only difference between a lecture and a lab that you would give to a student is that ChatGPT is leading conversation. It asks it and answers any questions. And since I myself always use it when I'm programming, I've done quite amazing things that I was never able to do before because I'm using ChatGPT for that. So the same thing is here. You create a wonderful tutorial with ChatGPT, and it will not be easy. You see, obviously, that you need to come up with those 10 problems and tell it the solutions. But from then on, you will be good. Now, to show you the future plan. So what happens is, first of all, you can then scale it. I tried already many ways, and I did Lambda and I did Amazon Gateway, and I found out that the most promising is just simply use the original Fast API and put it on Beanstalk. That way it will be very scalable, won't fail. So write it in Fast API. Now, whether that's true or no, we just came up with this, it's working, but I need to confirm it next week. That's my plan for scaling. Another is what you need, another thing that you need is, I'll show you which courses you need to take. And that's found right here. It's a little bit of improvisation. That's why I find it real time and I haven't prepared it for you, but it will not take long. The driver. And that is the education plan. That's what I use for my internal team, and whoever needs additional stuff can get it from here. That's within my team. But it's not any proprietary stuff. This knowledge is available, free for everybody. And my structure with is this. Here is the course name and what it teaches you. Here's a short summary. Here is the, most of them come from deep learning, from Andrew Ng. So what I suggest to you is don't worry about this spreadsheet. Just take the very first lecture. This lecture does require you log in. Like here, it wants me to continue with my login, but after that it's free and I'm not paying for my account either. In other words, it takes me to the lecture, says you will continue this course, and I have showed you this lecture quite a few times. So the way it's structured is 1, 2, 3, and so on, about 10 different lectures. Each lecture by Andrew Ng and Ilse Fulford, right? Ilse Fulford is accompanied by a notebook. So if we start, and I remember that I'm sharing
Welcome to
the
this
sound.
course on ChatGPT prompt engineering for developers. I'm thrilled to have with me Ilse Fulford.
Exactly, right? So that's an introduction. but next to the first lecture guideline, there will be a notebook. So guys, where are the notebooks? Let's say I'm listening.
And then whatever your API key is.
To more and more stuff. Amazing. I don't see it here today. So from here, you cannot copy of this one. That's
You
a
could
good
also
trick.
set this as an environment variable.
But usually right here in this space, you have the notebook that you can run. And not only run, you can change it. It's live. And not only live, but it is already provided with the keys. Usually when I teach that in our webinar right here, I'm saying, okay, let's download it, and I'll show you where you download it. Then put it into Colab, Google Colab, and I give you the key. And then delete it. Or if I forget to delete it, they say, oh, we detected you gave the key out, so we disable it. That's what they usually do, and I will go through that. But that's what you need. You need to go to that very first lecture and follow those lectures. Essentially, I copied a lot of these lectures or the outlines. Now, going back to where we are, I see some. Okay, maybe, thank you very much. Maybe the browser should be wider, but that doesn't matter right now because I'm giving you just the guideline. So let's go back to where we were. We said that here's a plan. If you want to create your own tutor, that's how you would do it. Listen to this inspiring lecture, then take a course with them, then see how they structured it. And for the technology, go to Angry Ain and he shows you how to do it. Now, since I promised that I will also do an exercise, that's one of his exercises, that what I will do is take this exercise, and that goes to the open GitHub, my lab here. And what I need is one of the labs that I'm going to show you today. What I need is download that lab, download the raw file. So let's see. It's called PizzaBot IPYNB. It's in my download directory right here. And I want to run it. Well, the easy and good place to run it is Colab, Google Colab. Now, again, I'll go to my other profile just so that it's easier. I once said yes to Google idea of using different profiles, and that's my punishment for that. And here I'm going to Colab. Colab, Google Research, maybe yes. So all you need is to be logged in into something, one your account, and I'm probably logged in into whatever account. So now I cancel this out. I do this. I say File, Upload Notebook, navigate to this, and get the PizzaBot uploaded. Now it, meaning Colab, doesn't know about many packages. So when I run this like this, then I will have many problems, and you will also have many problems. Therefore, to solve them, I do this. Import OS was no problem, but as far as OpenAI it was, so I'm saying now, pip install OpenAI. Now, since that's not a big deal, then I usually just do it like that. Now, that is not needed. That is a key. That is, that's how we get, that's the best practice in Python, to store it in a .env file and then get it from there. But instead, what I'm going to do is remove all of that. and get it not from the environment, but get it from the real key. Now, the real key is found right here. It's platform OpenAI, and platform OpenAI view my keys and create a new security key. And what is today? 22. So demo 922. That's what I will call it so that it's clear why it is here. And then copy it. Having copied it, I go back and just paste it right there. It needs a quote around it. So here's your quote. And after that, the first line should be good. I intentionally didn't tell you what I'm going to do. So let's run the first line, verify that we're good, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do. That's one of the explanations where we create a bot, create a talking bot. This bot will be quite smart. It will talk us into buying pizza and drinks and all of that. And it will run all here in the Python notebook. So I think it's an amazing thing. Let us use GPT-4. GPT-4, I think that's it. And we don't need the dash. And let's verify that. That is a function that will allow you to talk. You can say, I am so-and-so, but most importantly, what I want is this. And that is just to verify that things work. Okay, which they do. From now on, you started a bot. Look how easy it was to start a bot. And it's already talking. What you gave it, though, is the menu that it has to deal with. We didn't look at it as yet, but that's the whole menu. Now, ChatGPT is able to digest this menu, ingest this menu. I think that's an intentional pun. And then it, based on this, it's talking to you. Now, this is a Python library that allows you to include the dialect right in. It's called panel. And that panel allows you to play with it. So what do we want today? Well, we want a pizza. And we're rude. We just say pizza. Let's see what happens. It doesn't mind me being rude. Great choice. What type of, you recognize this great choice. That's a standard thing you hear in the restaurant, as if, you know, bad choice would be a possibility. What type of pizza would you like? We have pepperoni, cheese, and eggplant. Oh, let's do eggplant. I've reserved a Zen joke for later. So it says small, medium, large. Now I want to say this. Make me one with everything. That is what the Zen master said. Make me one with everything. And at this point, I'm really testing how smart ChatGPT is. Well, what was the answer? I'm not sure where. Last time I spoke to it, it said, yeah, it's an old Zen joke. I recognize it, but what pizza do you want? Now, this time it messed something in the format. But on the other hand, that's not the real life implementation. We implemented that with some framework and even showed it as a great achievement to one of our clients. Sure thing, maybe it meant the answer to my question. And my question was make me one with the other thing. So just to make sure, did you recognize the joke? It says yes. I do recognize the joke. And I didn't want, it understands I want some praise, so he gives me some praise. But let's go back to the pizza order. Did you mean a large eggplant pizza trying to push me back into the reasonable mode? It wasn't just a joke. All right, I think that's awesome. You can play with it yourself, and I showed you how to play with it. Right? It's let's go back. Here. That was in this, first of all, link. That's what you need to start. Then I described a few interesting ideas and suggested a possible enterprise doing this, but I think you realize how much work it is. If you want to just build some nice tool, then the easiest is to build a search engine with your documents. I think practically you'll get the most bang for the buck, and a couple hours you can have it run. That I'm going to propose to an investor to see if he wants to build it. That's the honest plan, and life is short, no time to hide. So I told you. Practice was AI lab, and we built a whole pizza order bot, which you can get from here and run it on Colab, and you run it using my key. You may have noticed that was the lab itself. And that was me running it Colab. But you may have noticed that if you're doing this, you're running this key. Well, that key I will have to disable, unfortunately, soon, but you will get yours. Just create an account like this and do exactly that, and you will get the key, and that's a new key, which I will kill shortly. If I do it now, I know I don't look good. I will do it later. And that is essentially it. What I wanted to show. I think it was a big bunch of material though. So I'm going back here. I'm saying that's what we did. And now I'm open to questions and also suggestions on what we think we should cover next time. But as a ChatGPT style, I may not necessarily listen. I will not promise that I will listen to your suggestions and do them, but I promise that I will listen to your suggestions. Okay, let me stop share. And now it's your turn to say something, ask questions, or do something like it. If not, first of all, there will be a new webinar, security, which I think is fun. Security, talking about security is fun, and breaking security is fun. So I personally think it's good, but you don't have to come. And that's the next one. And other than that, I will see you next week. Write your suggestions for the future. Greg, always give me some work. Okay, suggestions for the future. More details on LangChain. Yes, that's a good idea. And security and LLM applications is interesting. So what you're saying is that, first of all, that should be your next I stop screen share, I'll open it again. Yeah, you know how to make me work. Okay, here we are. So first of all, that's preparing for the next one. Suggestion number one. And then suggestion number two, maybe look at other libraries. Yes. Copy and paste. It doesn't want to paste here. Copy and maybe paste here. Okay. And then Greg, you also said that maybe security and LLM corporate. I do have a set of slides. I did look into that, except that my security class starts with the basics and then goes into threat modeling and so on. And that security and LLM corporate would come at the end. But nevertheless, I will copy this and I will put it here. And paste it here and think about this. And then let's look at some other suggestions. For the pizza bot, how do you limit the AI to just pizza? Ah, good question. That is, Jared, is a good question. Let's look at what I did in the lab itself. Here it was. Right here in the very beginning, you tell it that that is your context. And then you're only allowing it to talk within the context. That is done right here. So let's say what was the context of this and where is it supplied to ChatGPT? I think with every question you send it the context. Let's really find it. This is the context that you define. This is where you collect the message using the context. I think it's all here then. Collect the message, and with every message you send the context. Now it says, I will only work within the context. No, Jared, that's a good question also. Was that Zen joke mentioned? No, it was not. Here, you see that the ChatGPT implementation is quite complex and it's multi-layered. So first it goes to the context. And I know it from experience. I tried it in many different contexts. It doesn't always listen to you. It's not predictable. So first it goes to your context, but then it says, within your context, you did not supply enough information, and that's what it is, but not always. We have some time in my legal application. That is the startup that I'm working with. Here, if I look at AI, and here's the AI. So the lawyer uploads all these documents, and then he has questions about them by doing this, by clicking on Casify AI, and then how serious are the charges? Now that is done in the following way. You take all the documents, you convert them to text, you send them to Pinecone Syntactic Index Search, having massaged them some more, and then you say that's the context. But if you ask it in general, without this context, in general, how serious is murder? Because that's a system for criminal defense attorneys. So murder does come up. So let's see. That it doesn't have in this case. There was no murder, and therefore it realized that it is a more generic question. Even if I didn't say in general, it would still look for acknowledge from other sources. And that's how the Zhenzhou also worked. Okay, I hope that answers your question, right, Jared? And meanwhile, confluence of blockchain and wow, blockchain and Genie, I don't know how we would even combine this, but it's very hot topics. So let's do this, copy that and put it on the suggestion for the what happens after life after this week, right? That's enough ideas, I think. There you are. All right, guys. Now, thank you very, very much. And I see one questions and answer. Zhao Zheng. How much context can be provided each time? The answer is simple to start, but we'll go a bit more. There is a limit. How much information you can send is measured, first of all, in tokens, not in words. But tokens and words are related. For example, if I give you an email, markcursor@gmail, depending upon what kind of algorithm you use to break words into tokens, it could be 1 or 2 or 3 tokens, because maybe markers and then @ is also a token and Gmail. So that's the tokens. My rule is that you have about 1.5, about 50% more tokens than the words. So the limit is in tokens, and how much tokens can you send is the old limit was, I think, 4,000, then it went to 6,000 and then to 8,000, but that's it. That definitely is a limit. 8,000 is not all that much, especially because there was an important thing we didn't talk about that. How does it remember what you said? That is a stateless protocol. Session ChatGPT remembers it because you're in the browser, but in your application, you need to provide the complete context. And there are multiple strategies of providing limited context because you're not allowed to send too much. I hope that that is what you asked. Okay. All right. Thank you, Zhang. I hope that answers. And I'm looking for any more questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much. But that's a deep question. You can write to me. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week and a great year, and be well. See you next week.
Hi, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I have a follow-up question on that. So right now, is that okay?
Yeah, sure. You can ask now, and then you can write or just call me or set up a meeting.
Yeah, I'll just ask it here probably. So
Yes.
so right now there are a lot of efforts to try to leverage ChatGPT or other large language models to create experts, right, on each certain domain. What people do, they're based on what I learned, there are two ways. One way is by providing the correct context, like what we did here.
Right.
And the other way is to fine-tune the model itself with with knowledge, right, in specific field. The second approach is more challenging. The first one looks like it will work in certain cases, but then since if there's a limitation on number of tokens every time you gave, then that potentially limits the possibility of making a expert with substantial knowledges, because the context can no longer can no more than, like, say 8,000 tokens.
Yes. You formulated it very well. That is exactly the crux of the problem. But add one more. The real good models don't allow any fine-tuning. For example, I personally would only use ChatGPT at this point of time because nobody measures up to them at all. and there is no way you can fine-tune them. Now, there is such a term as fine-tuning ChatGPT on their website. You will find it. But they have hijacked the term. It's not real fine-tuning. It's just limiting the number of tokens you have to send every time. It's very limited, so we're back to the same problem as you described it.
Yeah, and I think the one way people trying to do is try to, based on the question, they search for their most relevant information from a knowledge base and then formulate that as a
That's exactly the answer I was going to suggest. You look at Pinecone as a syntactic search engine. To me, that looks like the best architecture. It's been implemented by Microsoft, and it's the one recommended by everybody else.
Okay, can we go deeper on this one next session?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And I'm sorry that I have to run to the next webinar, but yes.
Okay.
All right, be well.